Well, to discuss this further, we're joined by Edward Mafadza, CEO of the CRL Rights Commission. A very good afternoon to you. Thank you very much for joining us here on SA Today.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Mr. Mafadza, we obviously understand that you've met with the Eastern Cape leadership. Perhaps you could talk to us about the main aim of that meeting, perhaps to contextualize this conversation before we move ahead.
Well, the main reasons why we had to engage with the Eastern Cape leadership, those that are actually providing oversight to the initiation schools, was firstly to affirm the reports that we are getting from the media that there are a number of people or young people that are dying this summer season. On the other hand, we also wanted to find out what could have been the causes of this kind of deaths of these young boys in the Eastern Cape. And thirdly, we wanted to understand the intervention strategies that the Eastern Cape as a province is putting in place to make sure that they alleviate further casualties when it comes to these kind of practices, particularly with the focus of this summer season. So that was the gist of us as a commission calling them to come and engage with us yesterday.
So as the Commission, are you satisfied with some of the measures that have been put forward by the leadership to curb deaths, perhaps also deal with issues related to HIV transmission, perhaps even concerted efforts to understand the construction of masculinity at large as we look at the recruitment of these initiatives and the methods of operation as we speak?
Well, we cannot say 100% that we were satisfied, because where there are people losing lives, satisfaction is difficult to find. So with the report that they've given us, we understood the circumstances in which they are operating within. Firstly, one would want to say that it has been a difficult transition for local government currently, for the province, particularly in areas where these young people are dying, because the leadership that was providing oversight in those areas within the council had to be changed. But we as a commission, we are saying that is not a justification enough to say that, young people should die. Something has to be done, and something dramatic must happen to stop this scourge, these continuous, deaths of young people during summer in the Eastern Cape. So we were not necessarily happy, but with their presentation, we understood the context in which they are operating from. That is why part of our discussions yesterday was, after we have received the information that many of the young people are dying from the illegal, initiation schools, we said these schools must be closed with immediate effect. And we had actually, identified through their report that they had already reported almost something like 21 cases to the South African Police Services. And we are saying, as a commission, the South African Police Services must do its work, arrest these people who are, contributing to the deaths of young people in the Eastern Cape. And where possible, prosecution should be able to give them the maximum sentence as proclaimed by the Customary Initiation Act currently, which was passed now in December 2021. And as a commission, we'll continue to monitor on a weekly basis, engage with the leadership that is providing oversight within the province to assess progress as per the recommendations that we've made. And we have actually disseminated the same to the leadership of the province to be able to implement them. We are saying that we should not tolerate any illegal school within the province. They must close them down, but the provincial government must then establish the rescue centers so that those people that were in illegal initiation schools must then be placed in those rescue centers until they finish their course. So we are saying satisfaction is difficult where people are losing lives. That's how we are answering it as a commission.
Absolutely. And then when we also look at, as you've alluded to, there's been a change in leadership based on the report submitted. I wonder if you could divulge just how much of these deaths can be attributed to abuse that initiates suffer at some of these schools? And then when we look at the issue of accountability, I mean, is enough being done to serve as a deterrence for these illegal schools not to exist and not to deploy more young men?
No, one would not say that there is enough. Firstly, because the province was saying that sometimes when these people are arrested, prosecution will talk about lack of witnesses or evidence, as when people have left the schools and they go home and they are happy and everything is moving on well, then they say we are no longer interested in participating in those cases. But we are saying those that are tasked with oversight, they are already witnesses of those cases automatically just by being on those sites. And we are saying that the prosecution should rely on the information and evidence that is provided even by those that are actually, providing oversight, including government representatives in that case. So we, as a commission, we are saying there is not enough that is happening within the province, but the province is being tasked to really bolster its efforts in order to make sure that we curb the scourge. And prosecution must be able to take its course strongly so that they can deter this kind of activities within the province. And part of it, we are saying, give the maximum sentence to those people that are doing this. Because some of them, it's just negligence. I mean, we find that Inkakata is just pushing an initiate to cross the river, swimming. And this young person, when it comes to the middle of the river, is unable to cross over and loses the power and then collapses or drown into the river. Those are negligence things, and people who are doing these things must be brought home, must be arrested and put in prison without any compromise. And that's how we will actually deter these kind of activities within the province, because we are, as a commission, we have come to a point that we will no longer take this. It's either the people who are responsible for these things are in jail, or those that are providing oversight within the province are in jail, and they can only come out when they give prosecution an alternative for the person who's supposed to be in jail to account for these deaths of young people.
All right, so you speak about accountability and oversight and follow through. And I think the issue of transparency also comes to mind. I wonder, would opening up the practice and even ensuring transparency not perhaps curb some of these deaths? I mean, we know that the subject of initiation and circumcision practices is surrounded by secrecy and traditional protocols that sometimes makes it difficult to study and also understand if you're not directly involved.
Well, you are very right. That is why, as a commission, we are saying traditional leaders, especially those that are, in charge of the areas where these deaths are happening, must be deeply involved in these matters, because some of them are just standing on the side, so that, we are able to get reports to the kings and the queens of those areas, so that the traditional leaders are becoming more accountable. So the secretness should not be compromised, but the reporting and taking responsibility of the lives of the people and what is transpiring within the initiation schools must be communicated to the relevant authorities, so that everyone is able to understand that people who are, or young people who are in the initiation schools, are safe.
Mr. Mafadza, I want to thank you for your time. We're going to have to leave the conversation there. Again, Edward Mafadza, CEO of the CRL Rights Commission, chatting about the increase in the number of deaths during initiation season, currently rising to 34. Again, as we understand, the traditional rituals of initiation and circumcision are widely accepted, welcomed, and even practiced as part of the culture and traditions of many communities throughout South Africa. But over the years, they have been characterized by malpractices, violations, and the rights of some of the initiatives. Illegal operations have also come to the fore, and in some provinces, infiltrated by some crime syndicates. Again, Edward Mafadza, the CEO of the CRL Rights Commission, chatting about ways to ensure that safe practices are adhered to as that death toll of initiates rises.